jump first.
Hey, this is Marcus, aka Cradle Cat, and today we are going to look at how to make your vocals even wider in your mix. I'm going to do that here in an indie pop song, or kind of an indie alt pop song that I made called Parachute, and we'll take a look at that lead vocal along with any of the other vocals that contribute to that wideness. So before we jump in, again, thanks for taking the time to check out my channel. If you like what you see, go ahead and click subscribe for more content like this, or just to follow my music. And also you can follow my music on my other socials on Instagram or Spotify as well. So first we'll play the chorus just to hear what we're listening for, and then I'll go back and build that vocal up from its starting point after editing into that wide vocal.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now. Don't be scared when you look down, 'cause I'll jump first and leave you, but I'll leave you a parachute. Yeah, I'll leave you a
Great, so now that we know what we're looking at here, I'll just first take the main vocal and break that down, and then touch on some of the other points of, you can see how much we have this stacked with other vocals and harmonies to double it and add just some other flavor to it. So we'll look at those two and how they contribute to wideness. I'm not going to dive into all the details of mixing the vocal in depth. I'll link to another video here. This is specifically how do I get wide vocals. So first, just taking off some of these things. The clean vocal, I'll play that first, and then we'll add directly on the plugin chain in this case, because I wanted to go from a softer, kind of more laid back verse, subdued verse vocal into just a really big, kind of belty, for me, belty vocal in that chorus and just make it really big. So that's why I'm putting this imager directly on the plugin chain.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now. Don't be scared when you look down.
So you can see I'm adding some width to it and then adding some of the stereoize effect. This is just a iZotope ozone imager. It's a free plugin for just making things sound wider and moving them off of that center mono channel that I would normally have this lead vocal. So I'm doing that directly on the channel strip here, which is a little unusual for me, but I wanted it in this song like that. The thing I would normally do, and the thing that I still did here, is adding a parallel widening send. So here I'm sending the vocal track to an auxiliary track where I am using a vocal doubler, ozone imager, and then actually had this on before, but and this EQ here just to tuck it in the background. So we'll listen to that on and off, and I'll get rid of the EQ and kind of turn it up so you can hear it, and we'll toggle that on and off.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now. Don't be scared when you look down, 'cause I'll jump first and leave you.
So that's where you can start to hear the extra doubly effect where it's kind of almost wobbling in the background. But then once we tuck it in with the EQ, so it's really just in that mid-range, get rid of the lows and highs, it's just adding some extra width by having that doubler on that stereo auxiliary track in the background and adding some almost invisible width to that vocal, making it sound wider without cluttering up the vocal in front and making it sound kind of wobbly where I don't want it to. It's just adding that depth behind it. The next thing that we add in here for width is this short reverb. So same thing, I'm doing this in parallel by sending it to an auxiliary track and then using a short 0.5 second decay reverb here and also EQing that so it's tucked into the background. You can see high and low passing that around 550 and 1520. And same thing, I'll toggle that on and off so you can hear the difference, and then I'll boost it just so you can really hear what's going on.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now.
So it's giving it a little bit of that room sound to just add a little more liveness to it, and that reverb being stereo on the auxiliary track, again, adding some of that width behind it. The next thing that we're doing, the long reverb, and that's going to be more for length, not really width as much, so I'll skip that. Slap delay, this is where I have a stereo delay and have it set up so that it's very slightly different. I've actually started making those a little bit more different in delay time on the left and right side, just so it kind of has a little more width feeling to it. But this one I did much closer together, so it's not going to add as much necessarily chorusy width that you would get with a little more delay on each side. But we'll toggle that on and off so you can hear it, and it's almost just going to thicken it because it's like a short length time delay added, and just not very much at all stereo width because they're basically the same. Just that one millisecond difference between the left and right side. So let's hear that toggled on and off for a very, very slight increase in stereo size, but then mostly just kind of thickening it up with the short delay.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now. Don't be scared when you look down.
So again, we're tucking that in with the EQ, and you can very slightly hear it kind of, the part where it's adding a little bit of width is I hear it from the left side just a little bit sooner than the right. And so it just adds a little bit of width that way by making it sound like it's coming tiny bit from one direction. Maybe that's just my bias because I know that it's shorter on that side, or maybe I'm sitting closer to that speaker. But that's why I've started to increase that difference so that it's a little more apparent on those slap delays. So I'm getting a little more width from them. The next thing that we're doing, this is, again, it's a long delay, but I say that it's increasing width just because it's engaging those stereo image sides of the delay more than just longer kind of trailing delay, like an echo delay. So here we're doing a back and forth ping pong delay, so it's going to bounce back and forth between the speakers as it plays. So it's not going to necessarily thicken the vocal, but it's going to widen your attention, especially as it starts to bleed over into the next line of the vocal.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now. Don't be scared.
So you can start to hear that, especially where the delay is lasting into the next phrase or the next word. It's just engaging more of that stereo image than the lead vocal would on its own, even if it's not directly on the word that's happening at the time. And it's the delay from the previous word is widening that next word. The next thing that we're doing, so those are the main effects we're doing on the lead vocal to widen it. And that's, again, just kind of A/B testing all of those. Here was the beginning with none of those.
This love is going down.
And then once we add everything back on,
This love is going down.
we've got a much more in-your-face vocal at that point. The next thing that we're doing, I've added several doubles, which are the exact same melody. And the first one is going to be, again, just panned in the center.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now.
So it's getting a little bit of a phasey effect in the middle, which is what I wanted here in this case, and just thickening up that vocal by doing the exact same melody over it, and just the small differences in your voice on that double give it that effect that if you're just listening in the mix, you might not tell right away as a casual listener that there are multiple vocals there, but that's how it's getting that effect. The next thing that I'm doing is same melody on the left and right side, and then painting those far on the edges so that it widens it out. So here we go.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now.
And I have these timed very closely with that original vocal, so there's not a lot of like every consonant is hitting at the exact time. Like it's not down, it's down. That D only hits once. So it's not distracting. It's just thickening that image of the same exact vocal, because I wanted it to just be one thick sounding vocal, not like a crowd of vocals.
This love is going down.
And part of how you do that without cluttering it is by making sure those consonants line up very nicely. So the next step that we do here in our background vocals, just take a look at the light ones. So these are, again, panned far left and right. And all my background vocals, I'm EQing those out a little bit so there's not as much low end. And there's a little bit of the high end dip there on the total bus for all of those background vocals. And then I'm also taming the high and low end on each individual one so that we're not getting build up on the low end. We're not getting any built up astringency in the high end. And this part of my vocal just tends to be more present. So I took those down on the background vocals as well, so it's not building up there. So these are just these doubles. We'll take a listen.
This love is going down.
So here I just used just a lighter voice. I sang it differently. So it's the same melody, but instead of belting it like I was on the lead vocal, here something you can do is just change your style of how you're delivering it to add another texture to that vocal. So same melody, same timing and everything, but just using it that breathier vocal, that lighter vocal, without that more present or kind of mask style, or, voice mask style. That's like a term for like when you're using a very pointed tone. We're using this more lighter, breathy tone to texture that in. So
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now. Don't be scared when you look down, 'cause I'll just
So especially once it gets to that falsetto part, it kind of helps blend everything together a little bit better, since switching from that more belty voice to falsetto can sound a little bit abrupt. This helps blend that in, especially once it gets to that point. The when you look down, this helps, in my opinion, make it a little more smooth. The next part, we're going to add in these. You can see we've got some, we got a low double. I put that in the middle just so it kind of roots everything. It's just right down the middle of mono.
This love is going down.
So I just wanted a little more low end, and it's just an octave down to kind of root everything more.
This love is going down.
The next things that we're adding, we have a harmony here. We'll listen to the three harmonies, one center, left, and right.
This love is going down.
Oh, and you can see these are actually different, so let me do these individually.
This love is going down.
And since I'm only doing one here, I've actually added a doubler directly on the channel strip that is going mono to stereo. So this one track itself is actually adding stereo width, even though it's not panned left or right, because I'm adding that doubler here and keeping it stereo throughout the rest of the channel strip. I'm also adding those other doubling effects here. Once I add in the other harmonies, these are panned left and right, so I don't need the doubler. It's already giving it that stereo image.
This love is going down.
And then we'll see the high harmonies added in.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now.
And all those harmonies are, with the exception of the one that's doubled in the middle, pushing your ear to the outside of that stereo image. So with these are just all the background vocals now. Let's take a listen to those.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now.
So I was just taking out the center image of those background vocals for you to hear. We'll add them back in.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now. Don't be scared when you look down, 'cause I'll jump first and and leave you, but I'll leave you a parachute. Yeah, I'll leave you a parachute.
So between all those things, just to recap how we got to those, just this wide image that we're looking at with just vocals, not even instrumentation that's also adding to the stereo width of that chorus, but just the vocals themselves are feeling really wide now because, again, just to recap, we have our lead chorus vocal, which itself, I'm adding that imager on to make it a stereo image, not just a mono down the middle track. It's still centered, but it's not only occupying the very center line of the mix. It's spreading out that mix just a little bit already. We've then added a double with the chest vocal to thicken the texture in the center line, just to keep your ear in the center, because we're adding everything around it and all these harmonies. I wanted to make sure that we still know that the vocal's in the middle of the mix, even though we're adding all these pieces around it. So that's something that adding another double in the center can do, because then we're adding those doubles far left, far right panned. We're then adding a different way of delivering it in the background vocals with the lighter delivery, not the belty delivery, to add a different texture and just kind of fill in the gaps because it's that breathier vocal. It's just a different tone that we're helping fill it in with. And then adding harmonies both in the middle and panned far left and right to, again, just draw your ear a little further outside of that very center line of the mix. So between all of those, all of those things make small differences that, when put together, build up into this much wider sounding vocal. And when we hear it all together now, I'll just mute all those parts except for the lead vocal that we talked about. And I'll also turn off some of the imaging things so we can hear what that difference makes once it's in context of the total mix.
This love is going down. We've both known for a while.
So still fine, but once we added everything back in,
This love is going down. We've both known for a while now. Don't be scared of where.
it really brings that full stereo image into play with just the vocals and gets at what I was going for with going from a more subdued verse right down the middle into that just extra wide, big, whatever 90s pop punk inspired chorus here. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. If you have any questions on this, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. If you like this type of content or just want to follow my music, go ahead and subscribe to my channel here. And you can also follow me over on Spotify and Instagram to stay up to date with music and anything else I'm posting there. If you have any other ideas for videos, let me know. Put them in the comments or send me an email, and I'll see you next time.